Yo, Steelers Nation. We're back again with I think this is the second episode of the Steel Factory podcast. I'm with my co-host.
Oh,
What's up, guys?
And we're back again the day after the news of Keith Butler's retirement, our D coordinator. I think the news broke in the middle of the Titans Bengals wild card divisional playoff match. This was expected though, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty expected.
I think reports came out literally the day after the wild card loss to the Chiefs, and after more news came out, apparently I think Tomlin had said that Butler had talked about retirement prior to this season, and even thought about retiring last season. So yeah, of course, with the retirement there comes a statement. This comes directly from the Steelers website. Steelers defensive coordinator Keith Butler announced his retirement on Saturday evening in a statement released by the team. "It's an emotional day as I announce I am retiring from my football coaching career," said Butler. "I have spent every year since 1990 as a coach in the NFL and the NCAA, but the time is right for me to walk away after a successful career both playing and coaching the game I love. I want to thank the Rooney family, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and all the coaches and players that I have been involved with over my coaching career. I look forward to spending more time with my family who've been supportive of me throughout the years. I wish nothing but the best to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I will be cheering them during my retirement." Butler served as the team's coordinator since being promoted to that role in January 2015. He had previously served as the team's linebackers coach for 12 seasons from 2003 to 2014. Butler was a part of the two Super Bowl winning teams, the Steelers Super Bowl 40 and Super Bowl 43. And of course, we have statements from Art Rooney II. "I want to thank Keith Butler for everything he has done for the Steelers since he was hired in 2003. He was a major contributor to some of our top defenses in the NFL during his coaching career. He helped us win 2 Super Bowls during his tenure, and he guided many All-Pro and Pro Bowl players as both our linebackers coach and then defensive coordinator. I wish he and his family all the best in his retirement." And of course, there's a statement from Mike Tomlin as well. "I appreciate everything Keith Butler did for me personally and our entire team and coaching staff during the 15 years I spent with him here in Pittsburgh. Keith and I began our friendship in 1996 at the University of Memphis and have been remained close to this day. He helped build some of the greatest defenses in the league during our time together in Pittsburgh, and I am appreciative of his dedication and commitment to making our players better on and off the field. I wish Keith and his family all the best in his retirement." Well, there you have it. We saw this coming, especially after a really shaky and up and down year for the defense after 2 really solid years. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think the problem with the defense this last year was mainly obviously like we lost to it and we lost
Hello, hello.
Alalu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that created huge holes in the run defense, right? We were literally the worst team, I'm pretty sure. Or the second to we were pretty fucking bad on the run. And on top of it, our offense was dog shit. We were 3 and out all the time. All the
They didn't
time.
do us any favors on defense.
Yeah.
Our defense
No.
was so tired all the time.
Like just look at the Chiefs game,
That,
right?
that
Like the
showed
first
halfway through the second quarter. The defense just eventually they were winded.
yeah, the first quarter and a half we looked rock solid, and then next thing you know, we like literally don't do anything on offense. So they're gassed. It's impossible. You get no rest, and especially against a team like the Chiefs where they're all about
Yeah.
playing really vertical and stuff. It's just it's bound to happen.
And like you said, Alu and Tua being out, it led to us having to bring in basically practice squad players from other teams, in the likes of Montravius Adams, Mondo. I wasn't even meant to see the field this season, maybe. I'm sure there's other names I'm missing. Loudermilk was a rookie, I believe, this year, right? And he started playing the majority of the snaps toward the end of the year.
Yeah.
Wormley was meant to be
Wormley
just a
played a
depth
lot.
piece too, right? So yeah, it started in the trenches, and that's what led to our poor run defense this year. But yeah, I mean, enough with the lows, especially this year. There's definitely a lot to be done this offseason for the Steelers, but let's take a moment to just kind of revisit the past. I mean, we'll get this a lot as Steeler fans. Always happens, we're talking about the past, but Keith Butler started off as a player for the Seattle Seahawks in the 1978 draft. I believe he was the second overall pick for the the Seahawks, 36 overall. This is just coming off of Wikipedia. And like Tomlin said earlier, they first met each other at Memphis, where Butler has spent some time as a linebackers, defensive ends, and special teams coach. First made his NFL debut as a coach with the Cleveland Browns in 1999 and 2002. And then he joined Pittsburgh in 2003, where he's responsible for developing some of like the best linebackers we've had in James Harrison, Lamar Woodley. I think he even coached Joey Porter for a few years as well. Many of the other guys that were just basically studs in those top defenses we had in those Super Bowl runs. What are the other names I'm missing? Larry Foote, James Ferrier,
Timmons,
Lawrence Timmons. Wow, yeah.
Crazier.
And then we kind of noticed a little fall off. I was reading earlier, because when Butler was promoted to DC, we didn't really have, or I think Joey Porter was brought in to be the linebackers coach, and then during those years is when we just consistently missed on first round defensive players in Jarvis Jones.
Oh yeah.
You can't put Shazier in there, but
I mean, Dupree was kind of a letdown until
I know
the
one
last
thing
few
people
years.
said was Dupree finally kind of developed once Porter was let go, and I guess Butler had maybe we had a different linebackers coach come in as well. But Dupree started to develop. But besides that, TJ Watt may have been the only one to during that era where Butler was the DC and not the linebackers coach, that he came out of the draft and was ready. But yeah, guys like James Harrison, I think deserve a lot of credit to Keith Butler, especially being undrafted as well.
I think he did a good job with Alex Highsmith so far.
Highsmith did really well. His jump from his first to second year. I'm not really sure who's our linebackers coach now. They may have a hand in that. But one thing that stuck out to me with Butler is how even though he became the D coordinator, Mike Tomlin had continued to, I guess, call the defensive plays, which is, I don't know how I feel about that. They say Tomlin, will call the shots. Ultimately, he's the head coach. But I feel like when we do find a replacement for Butler, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be from within. I'd like to see them call the defense and not just game plan. You know what I mean?
I think I don't think it's. I think we're gonna hire from within again. I think what's gonna happen is Tomlin's just gonna keep calling the plays.
I feel like that's something Tomlin wants to do. I feel like too, right?
Yeah, I maybe he just didn't feel like Keith Butler was the guy to call plays.
True.
I don't know that, but if we were to go out and really find a defensive coordinator, I think it would be kind of messed up if we didn't give them,
If they're getting hired, they'd want to call the plays too, right? That's their job.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
especially if we get someone like that's coming from a head coaching job and they're looking to be a defensive coordinator or whatever to just still be in the league and reestablish themselves. And obviously they're gonna want to be known for calling good fucking plays as a defensive coordinator,
Right.
right?
yeah, they're gonna want the credit if our defense is good, obviously.
We'll go over a few names, but there's a handful of head coaches that were released and would like to, I guess, audition for a future head coaching job by maybe coming in as a D coordinator for a year and showing what they could do in play calling. We'll get into the names in a bit. But yeah, I just want to be appreciative of the time Butler has spent with the Steelers. I know there was a lot of times where he had received offers during his time as the linebackers coach behind Dick LeBeau, in which other teams wanted him as a D coordinator because they saw how effective LeBeau was and how much he may have learned from LeBeau, and they saw the linebackers that he was developing, and he could have easily had just taken a D coordinator job a long time before he was eventually promoted to the D coordinator for the Steelers. It just kind of just goes to show how much he loved Pittsburgh as well.
I think he probably had some offers after Super Bowl 43. I'm pretty sure.
Definitely. I mean,
Sure.
if he didn't get promoted till 2015 and we won a Super Bowl, 2006 and
2008.
yeah, and
2006, 2009.
2006, 2009, another Super Bowl appearance in 2011, and just another fact I wanted to go over as well is how well our defenses were. And here's just another fact too. Most defensive sacks since 2003, the year Butler joined the Steelers as a linebackers coach, is of course us. We're at number one at 842, and we're
Yeah,
leading that by a margin of 64. The Rams, who have 778.
I think the Rams would be up there.
That's like a whole year, more than a whole year. If you want to say, 50 is around, like, enough for the top tier defense. And Butler definitely deserves the credit, even though our defense did look poor at times. It really looked well when we plugged in a bunch of first round picks into the defense around
When we give them
2019.
the talent,
When you have the best talent, yeah, it really showed.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
No, I
just,
think Butler had some great zone blitz concepts that really worked, and I think when you have that talent, it just everything goes together.
yeah, it's definitely. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you think about how great a linebackers we've produced over the last 20 years, you have to mention Butler and give him credit. But yeah, moving on to the future though. Just like there is for quarterback, there's a big gap to fill now in the defense. Whether or not Mike Tomlin continues to call the defense, you still need a D coordinator. You need to get a game plan. But yeah, let's go into some of the maybe perhaps available options. If you guys want to go down the list, maybe.
Honestly, my favorite right here is probably Zimmer. I think he was a solid coach for the Vikings. Obviously, didn't work out for him there, but I think there were definite highs, right? They had a solid tenure there, and I think he'd be a really great defensive coordinator. He did really. What team was he on before? He had like some nasty defense.
He was with the Bengals.
Bengals, Falcons, and Cowboys. He was a D coordinator for the Cowboys in 2000 to 2006. Took over as D coordinator for the Falcons for 1 year in 2007, and then D coordinator for the Bengals 2008 to 2013. I mean, what can you say? He was part of the Super Bowl team for the Cowboys in Super Bowl 30 when they beat us, actually. But yeah, I mean, solid resume. He's been around the league for a while. I'm not sure why he wouldn't fit.
I think with the talent we have, he'd do a great job.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I also think Tomlin's gonna have to be able to give up the play calling too.
I think Tomlin will respect Zimmer enough to give it up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was the one point with Dick LeBeau when he came in. He let Dick LeBeau continue to do his thing. Once LeBeau stepped down, Tomlin took over the duties of play calling. I'm not sure
LeBeau
if
let Tomlin head coach.
Yeah,
he didn't let it. It wasn't the other way around.
There's a lot of people that want. There's a lot of talk about people wanting Tomlin to just step back to like a CEO role and just oversee everything, let the OCs, let the DCs do their thing, and him just overall do the head coaching. But I mean, Tomlin does have a defensive background, so I'm not really sure what to say there. And who else is on the list after Zimmer? I guess you could throw Fangio from the Broncos into the mix. I'm not really sure his background. Do you guys know?
He was with the Bears before he got hired when they had the really good defense. I think 3 years ago.
With Trubisky.
The year they made the playoffs with Trubisky, the double doink.
Yeah, D coordinator for the Bears, 2015 and 2018. Before that, with the Niners. The Niners had their run under Harbaugh those years, 2011 and 2014. Good teams.
I remember that defense was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of talent on that defense too.
I like Fangio a lot too. I think Zimmer would be a better fit, but Fangio I think would have maybe a better defense, honestly.
Obviously, there's also Flores. I think
that's a reach, I believe. Yeah,
there's next to zero chance he doesn't go to another team to head coach again.
I don't know about Flores. I think Minka Fitzpatrick had problems with him, right?
Oh yeah, he did.
That's
we're about to go all in
Miami
on Minka too. So
you have to pay Minka this offseason
for sure.
Then the Ravens D coordinator just got fired, Martindale. I'm not really sure how I feel about him, but
I'm not really sure why the Ravens fired him. Was there poor? Or they just want to go a different direction?
I think it's more like you don't make the playoffs, you kind of have to fire someone.
I think they have the worst passing defense, right?
They did, but they also didn't they have 4 of their cornerbacks just out for the season?
They did.
they were reaching deep to get anything in the secondary.
I don't know if it's just how they know how to scheme against us, but I just feel like whenever we play the Ravens, they just have a solid defense too. And he's been there since 2012 as a linebackers coach till 2017, and then after that he took over as D coordinator. They promoted from within, just like us.
I mean, maybe we should get him for linebackers coach.
I'm sure he'd be looking for a D coordinator job somewhere. And then of course, I think we have the last guy on our list, Terrell Austin, who everyone assumes will be taking
Probably my
over.
last option.
Last option. But he's what seems to be a Steelers' first option. Yeah, if history repeats itself, we'll be promoting from within. I'm not really sure when Terrell Austin joined the organization.
I think 2 years ago.
2 years ago, 2019, senior defensive assistant / secondary coach.
This was the 3rd season.
Yeah, he was fired from Cincinnati in 2018 after 10 games. And that defense looked absolutely dreadful. Like, I'm looking at like all their ranks and I'm seeing a bunch of 30s.
Damn.
That's a big yikes
But
for
to
me.
be fair, his secondary has looked good since he's gotten here. but
Yeah,
we have-
Yeah.
I don't know if you who's in charge of promoting or developing who, but you've seen guys like Trey Norwood, you've seen Witherspoon come in this year. Who's our
Edmonds has gotten a lot better.
Edmonds has gotten better
Edmonds
since
has gotten
he's
better.
came in. I don't know if you want to keep him as secondary coach and then bring in a D coordinator, because he's done well as secondary coach. We have had some really good guys. I mean, Mike Hilton wasn't drafted coming into here. Cam Sutton has looked just as good.
Cam Sutton got a lot better
Yeah.
under him.
I think we had Steven Nelson his first year with us with Terrell Austin.
Yes,
Steven
Steven Nelson was he was really good. It was honestly, it wasn't as big a loss losing him. You definitely felt that we could have had Mike Hilton. We could have been better with Mike Hilton this year too. But for the most part, our secondary wasn't really the problem. I mean, because teams just decided to run the ball over us instead.
That's true. I mean, I'm looking right here, and he has in 2014 he was with the Lions, and apparently that defense had a lot of talent on it, and he looked to be pretty much top 10 in everything. So maybe it's a question of talent. That Cincinnati defense a few years ago they were like basically rebuilding. They blew everything up.
Yeah,
So it's
before
tough to
Burrow
say.
came in, they were a huge rebuild team.
So that's exciting, right? You can get a quarterback, you turn things around really fast.
Exactly. I don't see us being out of the picture for too long. Maybe just 1 year, maybe not even 1 year, because whether how terrible we were or not, we were still a playoff team this year. And if you build the roster better, if you get better talent, you get better coaching, we'll still at the very least be a playoff team, right? Once we're in, we're in. But yeah, I'm excited to see the direction we go. If Tomlin continues to call plays for the defense, if Terrell Austin does get promoted, we'll be covering the news here as well. I would like to be optimistic in us not promoting from within again. I'd like to see us try to at least interview or pursue other names around the league. Maybe not even some of these guys. Maybe some guys that are relatively unknown and can show great potential as a D coordinator. But yeah, that's going to do it for this quick episode of the Steel Factory podcast. Just wanted to get a quick episode out for the Keith Butler retirement and what we expect to see as his replacement. Yeah, stay tuned for further news. We'll catch you guys later. Peace out.